Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Shalini Bathina about Long Slow Exhale, which is currently on Spectrum. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I love the show. I've seen all of it pretty much. I mean, some episodes are still coming out and everything. But, it's interesting, talking to some of your castmates prior to this as well, Shalini. This show goes 0 to 100. Do you notice that when you're kind of reading the script for it? Like, we don't waste time at all in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I got the pilot and I was like, oh, okay, we're right into it. And it just progressively gets crazier and crazier, and actually, darker things come up, I think, as we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, it's tough subject matter, like absolutely. It is all around. And I think in the first 15, 20 minutes of episode 1, I think we're just so much conflict is introduced to the audience member.
Absolutely.
Is it emotional for you as kind of an actor on this show, kind of having to kind of present this? What's that like for you, knowing how much the audience is going to be seeing basically of a lot of this conflict?
Well, I think it's really was about the writing. We focused on the writing, and you usually when you get a script like this, the tone, what you're trying to say, and I think we really wanted to keep it based in reality and with the performances and the direction and the even the direction of how we took the story. So it's just we're just telling a story, and it happens to be crazy and happens to bring up a lot of stuff, and definitely a lot of conversation in that. And we talked to Pam, who's our writer and our showrunner, and she was explaining, I was asking her what was the inspiration, and
absolutely.
And her story and her background from that, and the idea of it. It was just kind of cool to step into a project that's talking about something a little bit bigger than regular drama.
100%. And to add to that, because that's a very good point, one of my favorite things about this show is it's a little bit of a tale of two shows. In one regard, it's about sports and basketball. The other spectrum of things is not even about basketball at all. It's about life. Sometimes I forget I'm watching a show about basketball, which is crazy. What's that like? Is that refreshing for you as a storyteller actor to be on a show like that has kind of two dimensions?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not just focusing on the relationship drama, which can get dragged on, I think, if it's just about that for 12 episodes, right? So it's nice to break it up, and you see us follow the adult side of it, which is the administration and that political side of it. But then you flip the script and go follow the girls for a bit and just see how they are. What do teenage girls do? 18-year college girls do. So it's nice to switch it up and focus on the career aspect, the sport of it, the camaraderie, the teamwork. And then I think that's awesome. That's why I love JC's character, because you can really see her navigate all of that at the same time.
Yep.
And give her a little bit of a break from the drama to actually just being a coach and being having a role model. And it's a women-centric show. So it's fun. I think it's it taps into a lot of it in a really, really good way. And you don't get sick of either of the storylines or any of the storylines. You don't get, it's not dragged out as much.
Well, I want to get into your character's storyline, but to add to that, it's interesting because you look at, Isabella and Brittney's characters on the team. Their characters have kind of they're involved with two kind of stakeholders. They're involved with their actual families and the team. And there seems to be things on both that can't escape all the things that are happening. I feel that's interesting with a lot of the girls on the team as well. They're dealing with the team, but their families as well. And the show does a good job to show both sides of that as well.
A personal life, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So your character, it's very interesting because your character, people are going to see, we're not going to super big spoilers, but your character is very around a lot of the craziness that's happening because of the team. And you mentioned, JC and Rose Rollins does an amazing job, like you said. There's a snowball effect where it just seems like things are not getting better at all. Things get worse and worse. Definitely. Your character's kind of seeing everything unfold. What's that like when you're reading the script that you're maybe not necessarily involved with the conflict head on, but your character's kind of around and maybe has something to do with it episode after episode, but like not really involved. What's that like? I'm curious about that.
I think it was really interesting because it's like, I think the whole point of well, especially Emily, my character, is that you're seeing it from like, obviously the audience is privy to all the information, but it's kind of that I'm the person who's kind of seeing it unfold in real time.
Of course.
And it's shattering everyone's world. Everyone is kind of losing it and like trying to hold on, and it's affecting her own job. It's affecting her own life. And so it's kind of fun to play with, like everyone's like blow ups or moments of crisis. You're like, how am I supposed to deal with this? Especially with JC, I think they have a specific relationship, like feeling that, you know, not feeling trusted enough to be told what's going on or to be able to help them. And I think there's a couple scenes where it's like, finally I'm able to act on it and like help out the girls in some way. And but before that, like trying to keep it hush hush and trying to just push them through the game. And then finally be able to like, okay, personal life is affecting our actual work life. So what do we need to do about this? So it was really fun to like actually play that side of it versus everyone was actually in the problem and dealing with the problem. It's nice to like navigate it through them.
Well, even before, like the first couple episodes when like we're starting to learn more and more about like the scandal at play and everything, you know, your character, regardless of the scandals, wants to move up, wants to be promoted, is working hard, wants to become a head coach for a basketball team. Like that's what she wants to do, right? And that path obviously gets harder. Exactly. Because of everything that happened.
Absolutely.
So that kind of all of a sudden makes you very involved with the scandal happening because you know what I mean? And again, it's kind of
involuntarily like you're like, what is this? And I think that's the idea. It's like you think something would be easy, and why is it so difficult? Why is this happening? And discovering why it's getting difficult and why it's affecting my life is and I think that's a trickle down effect, right? Like something big like this can affect everyone around. So I think that was kind of fun to play with JC, especially.
Talking to the showrunners or like the writers, like, did you get any kind of like heads up or what? I mean, obviously you get the script so you could see it, but because like I said, like the snowball effect is something that really stands out to me in the show. Like so many characters, like, you know, Samantha Barlow's character as well, you know, who is really involved with the scandal as well. It just kind of goes like, there's no one gets a break on this show.
No one gets a break.
Do you have those conversations with like the writers, directors, showrunners? Just a heads up, like it's just gonna keep going and going and going. Because it just like I'm wondering is that something you and the cast notice, like when you start working on it? Because that's like something I take from this show. It just keeps snowballing.
I think we did have an inkling, obviously, when we got the scripts and you're reading it, and so you get the inkling. But then it's also they changed things too. My character actually changed quite a bit in the from the beginning to the end. They were supposed to go one route, and they like made me more of a conflict for JC. So it was kind of fun to be like, oh, this is snowballing not only for her but also for JC. Like their relationship, everyone, like her relationship with everyone gets to be contentious at some point. So it was fun to see how their minds change. Like, no, we want to keep up that conflict and keep up that drama, but have it like a snowball effect and see like if something affects JC's life, of course it's going to affect the rest of the people. It's not going to be an easy ride for anyone else if she's not doing her job, you know, with 100%. So it was fun and we kind of had, obviously we had an idea, and then as the scripts came and things changed, like, oh, this scene got to like this scene, we're not doing this scene anymore. We're actually going to draw this part out. And so that's kind of fun to like change gears a little bit and go, oh, the problem hasn't been solved yet. Now we can keep up this problem. So that was really fun to play with as an actor, at least.
Is it also a bit crazy too now, like the episodes, like it's not fully done, but the episodes are coming out and everything, but like you could talk about more things now that something like I'm sure that's refreshing as well.
My friends are like watching it, so I'm like, it's like hard to explain things, and then it's like they're like, oh, can we just see like a scene of yours? And I was like, sure, but like you're not gonna understand anything. Like you're gonna have to watch the whole show.
Your character's in a really tough spot. Very tough spot. And I feel like you could see it coming a little bit with just kind of the relationship with JC and just everything transpiring. And I feel like there's kind of points of no return where she decides to do certain things. People are going to see that she has no choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, ensemble cast, you work with some amazing people on this show. Does working on ensemble cast from the storyteller perspective, because that's what you do, you're a storyteller, like whether this show or in general, does working on ensemble cast in a show like this excite you to the fact that there's so many kind of opportunities and lanes in terms of so many different kind of characters and storylines that you can kind of go, and it's exciting to know maybe where it leads? Like, that's a pretty cool thing. Like, there's a lot of different possibilities for a lot of characters on Long Slow Exhale.
Yes, I think it absolutely does. Which I think also makes conflict and conversations and scenes more dynamic, because you can go in so many different ways, and like pairing up different characters together just creates a whole different scene. Like you wouldn't think like Isabella's character and Josh Lucas's character being like that conflict was interesting to watch. Like you never see them, you never think that they would interact, and then they do, and then it's a whole thing.
So much conflict.
So so I think there's a level of like you create some interesting conflict with when you have such a wide range of characters. Like it's not the same relationship over and over again. You always have something fresh to play with as an actor too. Like, oh, I have a scene with this person, and that's a whole different relationship, and creating that relationship with that person versus, me and JC, for example. So I think that was really fun to play with.
Don't forget, you're, like we said, sometimes it's not about sports or basketball, but it is about basketball, and a lot, like it's about a team. You're also going to have situations where there's a lot of people that you're like, because you're the coach and everything, you're around the players all the time. So there's so many kind of opportunities for different kind of interactions. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I picked that up when I watched the show, because I'm kind of looking at, there's so many players, everyone has their kind of storyline. Yeah. And it's really, really cool to see. And you all do such an amazing job. And I'm telling you, this show, you're on the edge of your seat. But I think the thing that really gets people in is the first episode is like, I feel like you're watching a movie.
Yeah. It's done really well to like hook you in, and I know everyone who watched the first episode was like, oh, I really want it. Yeah, I'm like, yes, that's.
Well, there's just so much.
Exactly, there's so much happening.
There's so much in the first episode.
Absolutely, and it ends on such a fun, like cliffhanger. The first episode, and you're like, ooh.
Oh, I think that's an understatement. I think it's. Shalini, this is a blast. Thank you so much for coming on Pop Turnative.
Thank you so much for talking to me. I appreciate it.
So Spectrum, they're going to be able to check it out. I think we tried to sell it as much as we can with the first episode. I mean, they have to get in. They're going to get hooked. For social media, where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I think that's the best way. At Shalini_Bathina.
Amazing. Well, this has been Pop Turn of youtube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. Until next time, it's just Shalini Bathina, who you can catch on Spectrum's Long Slow Exhale, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnative on YouTube. Be sure to like Pop Turnative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.